Congratulations to the top three qualifiers for the 2019 British Grand Prix. Starting in third place will be Charles Leclerc, in second place Lewis Hamilton, and taking the 10th pole position of his career and his fourth of 2019, Valtteri Bottas will be on pole position. Many congratulations, Valtteri. A tremendous lap by you at the start of Q3. Very tight between you and your teammate. Just how good was that first lap?
It was good, obviously good enough for pole. There was not much into it between me and Lewis in the end, but still going into the second run, there was a couple of places that was clear that there was still margin to improve. So I wouldn't say it was a perfect lap, but I doubt anyone got really a perfect lap today. It was not easy to get everything right and super sensitive to do tiny mistakes here and there with this new tarmac and also with a bit of wind. But yeah, I'm happy that it was enough, and it's definitely a good feeling.
And Valtteri, you now have more poles this year than any other driver. Is that significant to you? And have you worked specifically on qualifying this year, something more than previous seasons?
It is not that I've been specifically working on. Obviously, you always try to improve your performance, both in low and high fuel, short, long runs. But I think the biggest thing for me still to work on is the pure race pace, definitely in some kind of conditions. So, I mean, year by year, you're always learning. You get quicker if you work, and yeah. But the main thing is to turn those poles into wins, and that's obviously the goal for tomorrow.
Okay, good luck with that, and well done today. Lewis, coming on to you. Motorsport is full of ifs, buts, and maybes. Had you not made that error at the exit of Brooklands on your first lap in Q3 and got a complete lap in, might it have been different?
It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. You can't go back. All you can do is look forwards, and Valtteri did the job. So congratulations to him, and for us, I think, yeah, it just wasn't the best of qualifying sessions. But there's a long race tomorrow, so I have to try and see how I can convert the position I'm in to progress forwards. I think the long run yesterday was good, so I hope that I'm able to utilize the tyre advantage we have in the sense of starting on the mediums. I hope we can do a good job with that tomorrow.
Did the track conditions fluctuate a lot during that session?
Not really. I think the wind it's a little bit gusty here. This is why it's so great here at Silverstone, because it's spread over such a vast piece of land, and sometimes it's raining on one section of the track and dry on another, and it's gusty in some places and not so much in other places. So it really bodes well for a really tough track to finish a lap on.
Okay, thank you, Lewis. Charles, coming to you, like Lewis, you came over the radio and said you made a mistake on that first run in Q3. Do you feel there was more out there today?
No, I don't think so. Very, very happy with my lap. I think in the last corner, I maybe could have done a little bit better, but not much. Overall, I think, yeah, we are very happy with the performance, very close to Mercedes. We did not expect it. We thought we would be struggling more this weekend. We have been struggling since FP1 with the front end of the car, still in qualifying, but a little bit less. So yeah, it's a good qualifying session for us. And then, of course, I will have hope for a higher position, but third is the best we could have done today.
And as was the case in Austria 2 weeks ago, you're going to start the race on the soft tyre. The guys next to you are going to be on the medium tyre. How do you see the tyre war playing out?
Again, I think it was thought, so we wanted to do that. Again, I think in Austria it wasn't a bad choice. That's not what made us finish second there. So we are pretty happy here too.
Okay, thank you. Let's open this to the floor now. And as ever, please remember to give your name and publication. First question, please.
Christian Mienert, motorsportmagazin.com. Question for you, Charles, just following up on the Q2 and the soft tire. You made the first run on the medium tire and then set the fastest lap on the soft tire. Was it always the plan to qualify with the soft, because yesterday's long runs didn't look that great, and it was a bit surprising for us that you improved your time?
Yes, it was planned like this. Yeah, the race run was not great yesterday, but was not due to the tire, as I said. We had some issues with the front end. I think it got better today, so we'll see tomorrow whether we have a significant improvement on the long runs. But yeah, it was not due to the tire.
Thank you. Next one.
Scott Mitchell from Autosport. Valtteri and Lewis. Lewis, after practice yesterday, you talked about having a bit of difficulty with the balance of the car. The rear was stepping out a little bit. Did that carry into today, or were you happy with the car? And Valtteri, you started strongly yesterday. Has that just continued? Do you just feel very happy with the balance of the car this weekend?
Well, yeah, I mean, from the very beginning of, since the first practice, the feeling was quite nice. There was definitely room for improvement, especially with the rear end of the car, mainly on the entries of the corners. I think we managed to get it a bit better. It was kind of still the weakness in a couple of places, the rear end of the car. But been not a massive drama really, and yeah, managed to build up from yesterday, except practice 3 was a bit tricky for me. I was a bit off the pace, but just tried to reset and remind myself of everything that I was capable of doing yesterday, and it turned out to be good.
Thank you. Lewis?
Yeah, the car was good today. Made a big step forward, so no problems.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Hi, Simon Arbley from Nevis Radio. Question for Charles. Yesterday it was mentioned maybe the Ferrari race pace wasn't quite as strong as the Mercedes. With the gaps today and the difference in tyres, do you think possibly a jump at the start of getting Valtteri and Lewis at the start, you can maybe dictate the pace a bit more?
Well, that's definitely the target. Try to use our tyre advantage, especially at the start, to gain positions and then try and keep them. Keeping them will be very difficult because they are both extremely quick in race runs, but that's the target.
Thank you. Any more?
Liverica, F1.com. Luis, from outside, we didn't have the impression you have the car in your hands all the time. Is it because the circumstances, or maybe you have a setup thinking more in the race?
No, I mean the setup suited the race trim best, and I think yesterday really did struggle with it on the single lap, and of course was trying to improve it throughout the over the evening and into today, and it felt great as into P3, and then it felt really good at the start of the Q session, but then actually kind of deteriorated as it got through the session, so it got harder and harder. Back kind of towards similar problem that we had yesterday, as you saw in turn 6, for example. But it's also windy, and but the race trim is still good, and I didn't want to deter. I didn't want to move from the setup that I had too far away, because it worked so well in the long run yesterday. So fingers crossed it'll be the strength in the race should be quite good. But again, it depends on what position we are and how the wind is and a bunch of other factors.
Thank you, Lewis. Next one.
Luis Vasconcelos from our press for Valtteri, also on the race. Yesterday you lost quite a bit of time because of a mechanical issue in FP2. You couldn't do your long runs as much as planned, but you still got 8 or 10 laps out of it. Was that enough, or you'll need to look at a bit of what Lewis did, because he really had the best of the long runs to be in a position to defend?
Yeah, for sure. You would always try to maximize the long runs in practice too. That's always the best reference for you, for the team. But at least we have the data from also Lewis's a bit longer runs and with both tire compounds. So there's plenty of things we can look at, even not from my driving, and already saw many things that I can definitely do better in the race in terms of tire management. And I honestly think that's going to be the key tomorrow, to be efficient on the tires and quick, but not to wear them off. So.
Thank you, Valtteri. Next one.
Hi, I'm Yasmin from The Guardian. I've got a slightly less technical question. Lewis, this is your home race, and there's lots of British flags out there, and you've talked about loving coming back to the UK. But there's contention because people say, well, you live in Monaco and your accent isn't maybe as British as others because you spend a lot of time in the US. So why do you think that people question your Britishness?
I don't really know. I don't really have a good answer for that.
We all live in Monaco. So.
We all do live in Monaco. It's crazy now because every driver, remember growing up, you remember watching Jenson Button, and all the youngsters come through, and everyone migrated to Monaco, and no one ever said anything about it at the time. Of course, when I did, they had something to say about it. So, but you know, no matter how often you go abroad or elsewhere in the world, you come back to the UK and you see the beautiful countryside. You see this great, you know, the history of Formula One and motorsport, which is really here. And I see all my family who are also here, and this is, of course, feels where my heart is, and ultimately fully British. Of course, I'd still like to honor my family heritage as well. You know, my family are from the Caribbean. So, but I don't know. People have a right to their own opinion, but I mean, if you look around, there's a lot of Team LH caps. The support that I've had has been just incredible, and it's been growing over the years. And whilst, of course, there's always going to be people with negative views on things, I feel like every day is an opportunity to kind of try and turn those that do have a negative view on things. And, you know, I guess over time I'll hopefully do more and more positive things for the country. I mean, ultimately, I go to all these races and I lift the British flag proudly. There's no one else in this sport that's raised it so high. So, so at the moment, probably that's not enough. I'll keep looking out for what else I can do. And for those who do follow me, I really do appreciate that support.
Thank you, Lewis. Next one.
Mike Dudson, Lewis, there's been some dramas here at Silverstone with the surface, and they seem to have got everything done pretty quickly. But there were quite a lot of incidents at turn 6 yesterday. I wonder if you could tell us, you had one too, I think, there. Can you tell us what was wrong there, and is it better today, and is the circuit settling down?
Well, I mean, ultimately last year we had the come out of turn 4, and it was the bumpiest straight that probably you've ever been on before, and rattling your teeth out for most of us. And I think also for the motorbikes, it was obviously quite bumpy then. And in other areas, it was okay. I think they've redone it this year. It's much better on that straight, but there are, I guess it's just the way it goes, but you know, bumps into turn 6 are pretty hardcore. But I think it's more so the crosswind people are struggling with there, maybe the bumps and also then the crosswind that you have there. Which everyone struggled with, and I've also struggled with. But then there's also like turn 7, it's very bumpy. But then the straight down to Copse is good, and up to Maggots and Beckett's is fantastic. And then after Maggots and Beckett's down Stowe Straight is great, 15, 16, 17. So it's pretty much spot on, perfect. Well, 3 bumps, entry of 6 and exit of 7.
Thank you. Next one.
Fragile Equipe, question to the 3 drivers. What kind of weather do you expect tomorrow? And what is the weather who suits the strategy to choose for the first tire you will start on?
Charles, let's start with you.
I haven't watched the forecast yet, so I don't really know, but I guess, yeah, in Silverstone, it's very often very unpredictable, and as we've seen in the last 2 days, you can have drops anytime. So it will make the race quite interesting if it's like this. Then if I can choose, the best will probably have a good start on the soft, do 7 laps, and then big rain, and keep this position. But yeah, I don't choose. I think it will be very unpredictable anyway.
Valtteri, weather?
Yeah, I think like yesterday there was not like a proper chance of rain, but it still had a bit of a drizzle. So I think anything can come from the sky. You never know. But and no idea what would be kind of best for us. At least it's cooler than Austria, so that's always good news. But anything else should be okay.
Lewis?
I'm down for some good old English weather tomorrow. You know, good old English weather, sunny, hail, rain, sun, snow, the whole mixture. I mean, naturally it's better for all the fans when it's dry, but I don't mind if it rains either way. It's really great, this track in the wet. So I guess we'll all discuss whether we do the rain dance tonight or not.
Okay, thank you. Next one.
Hi, Lewis. Obviously, it came down to 6 milliseconds today. Some quotes today around from Nico Rosberg saying that if he'd been travelling and passing in LA, then he'd be qualifying down in 10th. But you can sort of cope with it, he was suggesting. When you assess things, do you think the sort of clearing of the mind outweighs the sort of travel by sort of going to LA between races like that and having the trips?
I think naturally it's easy to say that people to have views. I do have 5 world titles, and they didn't come on their own. So, you know, so.
I think you gain time by partying. As a Finn, it's the feeling.
I think Valtteri parties way more than me.
Yeah, and every time I have a party, I gain lap time. So.
Yeah. I think ultimately, you know, when I started doing the travels and focusing on these other things, there was always the issue of people would have comments on it, and particularly the pressure of then having to arrive and make sure you definitely delivered the same. It took a long time to break that mold, and I've done it time and time and time again. And my preparation comes first, and I felt fantastic all weekend. The pressure's quite high here, obviously being your home Grand Prix, and so I don't look upon that lightly, and I prepare the best way I can. But also I do what I want. I don't do what you think I should do or anyone else thinks they should do. Only I know what's right for me. And again, that's what's led me to 5 world titles. And don't forget the amount of wins I have, all that stuff. So, yeah.
Thank you. Next one.
Keith Collantine, racefans.net. Question for Charles. Charles, you've said a few times in recent races you feel you've raised your game in qualifying recently. The clearest way we can see that is you've just out-qualified Sebastian for the 3rd race in a row. But how much more do you think there is that you can find in the Ferrari? And particularly today, was there the extra 800ths of a second that you needed to be sitting where Valtteri's sitting?
Well, at the time, as I said earlier, I think our main issue is the front end. Once we'll fix this, I'm pretty sure there will be quite a bit of performance in that, because also, again, in qualifying today, especially in the 3rd sector, I was struggling quite a lot with the front end to grip up. So yeah, there's still quite a lot of performance into that. Whether we'll know how to overcome this issue is another matter. So we need to be working very hard on that, and hopefully some performance will come when we'll fix this.
Thank you, Charles. Next one.
Tom Jackson, City Press. Question for Charles. Both Red Bulls split you and Sebastian today. Do you think tomorrow you'll be able to comfortably stay ahead of them, or do you expect a fight with them more than you do with the Mercedes?
If we look at the Friday race simulations, I think it's going to be very difficult to fight with, well, at least Lewis's race run was very, very strong. So, yeah, we need to work on that. But Red Bull seems to be very quick also in the race run. So it's going to be tricky if we manage to gain some position at the start. It's a track where it's quite hard to overtake. So then we have some chances to keep them. But if not, I guess it's going to be very difficult to fight with them.
Thank you. Next one.
Laurent Simpson, ESPN. Valtteri, 2 of your pole positions earlier this year didn't quite go to plan. The starts didn't work out. Can you just explain what you did to kind of, if you've done anything to try and rectify that, and how the other starts have been, and whether you found a solution to it?
Yeah, I've been definitely working a lot on the starts this year, and especially after the couple of not ideal ones. So I've been focusing a lot, feel much more comfortable with the starts than earlier in the year. Obviously, every start is going to be different. You know, you always have different circumstances, different set of tires, temperatures. But yeah, feel more confident, and obviously aiming for a good start tomorrow, and use the good grid position.
Thank you. Next one.
Sam Hall, Auto Week. To Lewis, this year it seems though you found qualifying that little bit harder to get pole on the Saturdays. Is the car a bit more difficult to get the 1 lap pace out of, or is it something that's changed with you as a driver?
No, I think we're not halfway through the year yet, and we've definitely had some poles, but Valtteri's done some great laps throughout qualifying. It definitely has been a car that's a little bit, I think probably with the tires, it's a little bit harder to get it perfect every single time. But it's just qualifying. It's not, doesn't, as you've seen a lot of the races, it doesn't necessarily always determine what happens always in the race. Of course, it's great to always start at the front. It makes your day a little bit more simple. But nonetheless, it's really great that we continue to work forwards as a team and lock out the front row. It's I'm really proud to be a part of that, and still, to get a 1-2 today is still significant considering we have all of our team actually coming this weekend. So, of course, Valtteri and I think we have a great relationship. We always want to beat each other, but I'll go back, look at the data today. He did a better job, and tomorrow you'll do a great job as well. And the duel tomorrow is who can do a better job tomorrow. And there's plenty more pole positions up for grab between all of us. So just got to keep working hard.
Thank you. Next one.
Ben Hunt from The Sun. Question to Valtteri and Lewis. Valtteri, when we spoke, you said the time's now for you to start effectively getting your elbows out. Indeed, is this the time that you're starting to sense that? And question to Lewis, how are you prepared against, I guess we could call it Valtteri 2.1, new version, new enthused, ready to go again after good start and obviously a bit of a slump, but coming back. So just wanted to get your two views on that.
Valtteri, start with you.
Well, for sure, if you look at the points, for sure the championship fight is still on. Obviously, I'm the one chasing. I'm behind with, I don't know the exact number, roughly 30 points or something. But so many races to go, and it's going to be a lot up to me and my performance. So definitely every single opportunity there is, now I need to get those. And if I don't get those, then Lewis is going to be far away and not be able to reach in terms of points. So tomorrow is super important, but so is the race after, and season is still long. So I really need to try and take those opportunities, and for sure we'll do everything I can to keep that lead tomorrow.
Lewis, your thoughts on Valtteri 2.1?
2.1 or 2.4 or it's lots of different. I mean, I work closely with this guy. Is Valtteri, so I just see him as the man he is, and obviously we're still fighting for the title. I think I don't feel necessarily that he's the only one chasing. I'm still chasing. It's, you try to put an imaginary individual ahead of yourself. For me, I generally try and put kind of previous year's performances, so kind of last year's myself ahead of me, for example, and that's my target, is to improve and beat that. But on days like this, I'm behind another, so he's now the guy that I'm chasing. So as long as you've always got a goal to chase, then you can always make improvements, you always have strides to make, and so that's my approach always.
Thank you. One more.
Simon Abley from Nevis Radio again. A question to all three of you is really, the past couple of races we've had incidents that have been reviewed after the race that have either potentially affected the result or have affected the result. Has this been discussed sort of within the drivers' meetings, and can we maybe expect results to actually stand at the end of the race and drivers to be able to race more aggressively in future races, including here?
Lewis, should we start with you?
I was focusing on folding. I didn't actually hear what the question was.
Charles, let's start with you.
I'm always up for hard racing, so very happy if they relax a little bit on the fight. But I think consistency is key. And yeah, at the end, after I think they need also time to review some incidents. So sometimes it might be a bit. It might be bad to wait for a result, but at the end, I think is the best way to take the right decision.
Valtteri.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of hard racing as well. So the harder we can race, but safe and fair is always good. And obviously for everyone, it will be always better to have the results as quickly as possible and penalties as quickly as possible. But sometimes they need to review more, understandable.
I feel exactly the same as these two guys. I still don't know what the question was really, but close racing is always, yeah, what he just said. Sorry. It wasn't intentional to hit and miss what the question was. It was about tough racing, was it?
Tough racing and the incidents at the last couple of races. Have you discussed it with anybody, either at the FIA or with the other drivers?
I haven't. No, I don't think it was brought up in the driver's briefing either. So I think the last race was good. I don't know what Charles thought of the incident he had.
No, I thought it was okay. The only thing is consistency. As I said, I think I feel like there have been some incidents in the past this year that has been not penalized for much less than that. So that's the only thing. I think consistency is very important. But if it's clear that we can race that way, then I'm more than happy to race like this. And I think every drivers like to race that way.
I agree again. No, I think it's really hard with the consistency thing because you got these rules but every scenario is different, but you have to apply the same rule to it. So it's that's why they've got so many of the guys that are at the stewards. There's so many of them in there that have to interpret a certain way, what has happened a certain way. And as Charles said, consistency is really what we want to try and get. But I think every year you go through all the lessons, or they together in the sport go through the lessons and learn and improve. And people have told us that it needs to get better, and so I'm sure we will.